Welcome, everyone. Pacific Northwest Ballet is so pleased to participate in the Our Stories Are Your Stories campaign in celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. My name is Naomi Glass, and I manage the Dance Chance program at PNB. It's my pleasure to gather today with 5 accomplished artists from the PNB family and to hear them share parts of their stories and reflections. Thanks all for being here. If you could please introduce yourself. Angelica, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angelica Generosa. My pronouns are she and her. I am currently a principal dancer with the Pacific Northwest Ballet. I've been here for 10 years now. I'm originally from the East Coast and moved here to Seattle to join the company. And yeah, I've been dancing here with them for 10 years and really proud to be here.
Thank you. Emilie?
Hi, everyone. My name is Emilie Choi. I'm the assistant concertmaster of the PNB Orchestra. This is my 4th season here. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here and share a little bit about my heritage and how that ties in to my music playing.
Thank you. James?
Hello, I'm James Moore. I've been with PNB since 2004. Born in San Francisco, California, and trained with San Francisco Ballet and also School of American Ballet, and began my career at Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, dancing there for 4 years prior to joining Pacific Northwest Ballet. Happy to join this conversation.
Thanks. Let's pass it to you, Kuu.
Hi, I'm Kuu Sakuragi. This is my first year dancing with PNB as a core dancer. Previously, I grew up at PNB at the school and through the Dance Chance program. And before joining PNB, I danced 3 years with Alberta Ballet.
Thank you. Noelani?
Hi, everyone. My name is Noelani Pantastico, and I'm a principal dancer with Pacific Northwest Ballet, as well as co-founding artistic director of Seattle Dance Collective. I have also danced with Ballet de Monte Carlo in Monaco, and I'm happy to be on the panel today to share and represent and be a voice for the AAPI community.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So to start off, I'd like to ask you, what makes you proud of your AAPI heritage? Noelani, maybe you can begin for us.
Yeah, gosh, I guess it's just knowing that I came from a very special place, a place that holds a lot of history and culture. And when I hear people talk about Hawaii, I definitely feel a huge sense of connection and pride to my Hawaiian roots. Also, you know, my career path in dance, I represent a very small minority. So my heritage makes my heritage all the more special to me. And I guess, yeah, I recently in the past, I don't know, a couple of years, I did a search for other ballerinas of Hawaiian descent and had no luck. And hopefully I'm not as alone as I discovered, but I feel very fortunate to represent anyway from my family and specifically the Hawaiian community. Although I am of mixed descent, so I'm happy to represent for those backgrounds and roots that I have too.
Thank you. Kuu, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, sure. So what makes me proud of my Japanese heritage is the respect for simplicity. The food we eat is always respecting the quality and the freshness of the ingredient itself. For example, like sushi uses like only fish and a little bit of rice. So in my eyes, it's a way of honoring the simple food of nature. Also, like respecting one another is something I'm happy to have gotten from my heritage. In Japan, people usually often bow to each other. to show a sign of respect despite different beliefs or different opinions. So that reminds me that, all human beings deserve to be respected no matter what.
Thank you for that. Angelica, do you want to share?
Sure. What makes me proud of my heritage? I mean, the Filipino culture, we're already proud people to begin with. We're very Pinoy proud, as they say. So I always take that and try to emulate that passion and that hardworking ethics that I've learned from my heritage. And I mean, in the dance world too, I don't really see that many people that look like me. And so to be a face and to be a representation for that makes me even more proud of my heritage and where I came from.
Thank you. James, do you want to share?
Sure. I'm very proud of my Japanese heritage as well. I'll talk about the Japanese values of respecting your elders and being polite to everyone, treating others with respect, working hard, always taking pride in your work, right? Pouring yourself into your craft. These are all values that were instilled in me when I was very young. And then we used to travel to Tokyo every summer when I was a kid, and I would see these, values in society firsthand, and that really made an impression on me when I was young. And these values served me well throughout this career. When things get tough, as a dance career is, falling back on your values is just tremendous. So I'm very proud and feel very fortunate to have them.
Yeah, thank you. It's been quite a year, and it seems that AAPI month feels particularly important to celebrate as we're still in a pandemic and experiencing a rise in anti-Asian sentiment and violence. And I wanted to ask you to reflect upon that and upon this time as people, as artists, as individuals of Asian heritage. Emilie, maybe you could start off this one.
Well, this is the first time that I've actively participated in AAPI Heritage Month, and I'm really happy to do so. I feel that it's especially important now more than ever. And this time during the pandemic has been really tough on all of us, and it's been especially hard, dealing with the actual pandemic, but also seeing this divide that's growing between people. And it's pretty disheartening to especially see violence against people who look like me, like for no other reason than that we look a certain way. So I was reflecting upon this, and it just made me really realize the importance of our work as artists. The performing arts, like music and dance, it's really about bringing people together, collaborating, sharing the same experience. And the more we do this, the more we get to know each other and hear different voices. I feel like that really bridges that gap and that divide. So I'm really proud of my work as a musician, and also, to have a voice that represents, the Asian American community, or specifically in my case, someone who was born in America, but my family is from Macau and Hong Kong.
Thank you for that, Emilie. Angelica, would you like to share here?
Yeah, I agree with Emilie as well. This is also my first time participating in something like this for AAPI Heritage Month. And to say the least, it's been a really tough year, especially I think of our generation right now, to see everything on social media and to see everything from every media platform, from the television news to like on our phones and devices. It's been really tough. And so what I've been reflecting on too is to kind of stare away from all of that and take in what's happening, and also trying to use my voice and my platform to represent our people, represent people that look like us, and to share what's going on, to educate what's going on. Um, but yeah, it's been a tough year to see it all.
Thank you. So during this pandemic time, each of you has had to step away from your art form somewhat. And I'm wondering if that has given pause to reflect on your artistry, and to consider how your artistry may intersect with your identity. James, would you answer this one for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think your artistry is a direct reflection of who you are as a person. So, when I think about my artistry, I think about who I am as a person and how I can bring that to the forefront in anything I perform. And I don't necessarily focus on my heritage, but I think of myself just as a complete person, taking into account all of the many variables that come together to make a person. And I guess the Japanese values that I talked about earlier play a big role in that. And that's kind of what I tried to put forward, is just who I am, and honestly try to play a role or dance a role as honest as I can. And I think that's what people connect to, is your humanity. And so as long as you're an honest artist, people will be able to connect with you, and that's what's so great about art, right? Is that it teaches people empathy, and you get to experience and connect with other people, not only the people on stage, but everyone around you experiencing the same thing. And that's something that's pretty rare, I think, when you're able to sit in a room with 3,000 people and experience the same thing. There's something really powerful in that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Emilie, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that as a musician.
Well, first of all, I totally agree with James. I think the part I value most about being a performing artist is just connecting with people, connecting with my colleagues, with other artists of different forms, and of course the audience, no matter how big or small. Maybe it's only 5 people, maybe it's 3,000 people. And that is just so special. And we've all been really missing it during this pandemic, I think. Yeah, like James, I was thinking about this, and I wrote down that my artistry is basically, it's an expression of my identity, who I am, that all my experiences, they all inform my artistry. I think for me, I come from, I guess, a culture that's really mixed and influenced by, several different countries. And both sides of my family happen to really love music. So I'm really proud to be someone who, can be able to do that on a regular basis. And I also just want to share a special connection between the other language that I speak, which is Cantonese, is a tonal language. And so I feel a really close connection between being able to speak a language where tones of vowels can mean different things, and music where you have tones that literally mean different things and connect in a different way also. So I guess music is like another language. And so I'm just really happy to be able to do that.
Oh, thank you for that. Noelani, would you like to share?
Yeah, it's very similar. I think in regards to my ethnicity, I don't see that it really intersects actually. Maybe on a subconscious level or on an organic level, there's something there, but I feel like what informs my artistry are my life experiences, and especially maybe any adversity that I've faced in my life along the way. I know that traveling the world and getting a different perspective, being surrounded by people that come from different backgrounds, orientations, disciplines, all those things influence my artistry. And then also, you know, I've been doing this as a professional for 24 years now. And so having courage to be vulnerable in each of my processes is also something that just influences my artistry. But yeah, I think it's more at a subconscious level that maybe my ethnicity and heritage, yeah, inform my artistry.
Thank you. So I'm wondering if there is a particular story or tradition that has been passed down through your family that you are particularly fond of. Angelica, would you like to share?
Sure. So every year in like the Filipino culture, we have this dish on everyone's birthday called pancit, and it's a noodle dish. So it means for like long life every time you eat it. And I've been away from home for like 10 years now, but my grandma still makes it at home for our birthdays. Me and my brother are both here on the West Coast, so she makes it on June and September, and she eats it. But I mean, we're supposed to technically eat it for a long life, but I'm there in spirit, and I think it's really sweet that she continues on every year to have that, and she shows it to us on, you know, text message or FaceTime calls. So I haven't made it yet. I probably should learn how to make it for myself, but that's something that I love about our tradition and how she continues on with that.
It's incredibly special.
Uh-huh.
Kuu, what about you?
Yeah, I have a story. My grandpa used to come visit us every year when he was alive and would share us his war stories while playing shogi, which is Japanese chess, with us. And there's one story that really stuck out to me. And it's when he was serving before World War II for Japan. He was serving at a military base in China. And that's when Russian planes and tanks came towards the air base for an attack. And my grandpa was stationed at a outpost with the anti-aircraft guns, and they weren't really ready for such a heavy attack and eventually ran out of ammunition. So one of the captains at the outpost needed someone to volunteer to run back to the base and get some ammunition for their anti-aircraft guns. So my grandpa took the initiative, because no one wanted to volunteer to do that, to go run out in the open to get ammunition and bring it back. And when he had to do that, he had to run in a zigzag formation to avoid getting shot from Russian planes. So he got to the base, made it back without a scratch. And when he saw the gunner at his outpost, he noticed that he was dead from the Russian planes, and he had to, reload the gun and carry on his duty. So that's one of the stories, like one of many stories of my grandpa, like being heroic and brave, which makes me want to become like him one day.
Thanks for sharing. And finally, I want to ask you about representation. So we all know that representation is really important, and that as professional artists, you are role models for young people. And I'm wondering how that responsibility is felt by you, whether it's the responsibility of knowing that you're representing as you're performing, or perhaps you have a closer interaction with a student or with a group of students. Kuu, I think that you have some full circle experience here. I'm wondering if you could weigh in.
Yes, I do. So the responsibility is like my kind of key motivation. I come from the Dance Chance program, which is a program that gives third grade public school students a chance to dance on scholarship with the PNB school. I am forever grateful for the Dance Chance program, and now happily mentoring Dance Chance alumni. Dance Chance students usually come from more of a background where it's quite diverse. So maybe their family can't afford ballet as a career, financially. But Dance Chance is a program that like truly believes that anyone can do it no matter where you're from. So every time I dance, I remind myself that this feeling I get from dancing is a blessing.
Thank you. Emilie, do you have thoughts to share here?
Yeah, I think representation is so important. I mean, I get excited when I see someone who looks like me on stage, and it really gives me that opportunity to like imagine myself on that stage, like being able to perform. And it's not just music, it's dance, it's acting, it's anything like that. So for me, I know I can be like that for someone who sees me, from the audience. And I think the word responsibility is so accurate. It really does drive me to represent myself in the best way. Not only for myself, though, I feel as a minority, I represent a little bit more than just myself. I might be the only like Hong Kong person that you might see on stage, or even the only Asian American that you might see. So it really is a responsibility for us to like really put forward our best and have integrity in our art. And I also feel that with art, the more perspectives that are brought to the table, the richer the art becomes, because our performances are so collaborative and so expressive. So I also feel really proud that I'm able to bring in sort of a unique perspective.
Thank you for that. James and Noelani, as seasoned professionals and as founders of your own dance collective, I thought you might have some thoughts to share here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, James. Do you mind if I go? Thanks. Well, I guess I don't look at being a role model as my responsibility, actually. At least that's not what I think of in my everyday intention. My responsibility, I feel like, is in the work that I do in my life. And because I've done things and had some success, maybe that's what's made people look at me as a sort of representative for them, and that's great. If I'm able to maintain integrity and my work and everything I do, I'm honoring my responsibility. And if that can serve as inspiration for an audience member or young dancers or a community of people that look like me, then I'm honored to do that. Yeah, so as long as I work hard and continue to give all that I can to everything that I do, hopefully that's enough.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on the representation part. That is, I think, important for young kids to see people on stage that look like them or in roles that they aspire to be in. Oddly enough, I felt that people didn't know I was Japanese. And so that's kind of why I started using or adding my middle name, just so that people would understand. I kind of felt I'd been at PNB for a long time, and people that I knew for a decade or so even didn't know that I was Japanese, which was odd to me. And so then, I wanted to add that middle name just so that people knew that, yeah, my mother's Japanese. I have Japanese heritage, and like I'll do my part to represent. But much like Noe, I also feel that my main focus as an artist, like I said earlier, is just to be the best artist I can and the best person I can. And however that comes across, that's what's important to pass along to the next generation, to the people around you. It's not necessarily what you look like on the outside, it's who you are on the inside. And so that's what I choose to focus on, and everything else will lay as it may.
Thank you. Well, it's time for us to wrap, but a sincere thank you to all of you for being here, giving your time, and for sharing your stories. Thank you.